What is it when it comes to hiring their staff? Why are they seemingly becoming more and more reliant on temporary foreign workers as opposed to Canadian citizens? And please, it can't be a money play. Canadian Tire's revenue for 2024 was more than $16 billion. So again, to recap things, such a shame that Canada's store, so-called, is more than happy to sell to Canadians in Canada, not all that gung-ho on hiring Canadians.
Up in Canada, we have a new form of slavery. It's called the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. Tim Hortons, Walmart, McDonald's, they would rather bring in a temporary foreign worker, get half the wage from the government, while foreign workers are also getting $3,800 a month, and put up in a hotel.
We're going to make sure that Canadian jobs go to Canadian workers. Right now, Canadian jobs go to Canadian workers. Multinational corporations want to drive down wages and drive our kids out of jobs by exploiting low-wage temporary foreign workers from poor countries. Now, Mark Carney was asked about my idea to solve this problem. And he said, well, he's talked to a lot of corporate lobbyists, and they've confirmed that they need to bring in low-wage workers from abroad, even while we have more unemployed youth than at any time in a decade and a half. Carney's corporate cronies say they need to bring the jobs to low-wage temporary foreign workers. Now, let's be clear. These temporary foreign workers, they're good people. They're decent. They just want the best for themselves. But we cannot bring in people from abroad to fill jobs that we do not have ourselves. Our young people need those jobs. We will get rid of the temporary foreign worker program, and we will ensure that it is Canadians first for Canadian jobs.
How the fuck does this make any sense? Canada loses over 100,000 jobs this summer, and at the very same time, Mark Carney approves 105,000 foreign workers to come and work here. You're telling me Canadians are losing their jobs, families are struggling to pay for rent and groceries, people that have worked their asses off and paid taxes for years. And instead of helping them, the government opens the door to 100,000 new temporary workers to come and work here. Where's the priority? And don't get me wrong, I'm a first-generation immigrant. I'm all about immigration, controlled immigration, when it's done the right way. But not when it's destroying the lives of Canadians who are struggling in this country. And not when it's used for political tools to buy their vote. People who build this country are being pushed out. Meanwhile, politicians are getting richer every single year. The government doesn't give a fuck about you. They care about their pockets and their vote. Enough is enough. Canadians need to stand up. We need to unite. We need to stop letting these people sell out our future while bleeding us dry. Because if we don't, Canada's done. So I'll ask you again, how the fuck does this make sense? Share this, wake Canadians up, and let's make it clear, government takes care of our people first.
Hello guys, welcome back once again to the channel. I hope and personally believe that you enjoyed your Christmas with family and friends and relatives for those who were celebrating. Now, there is a new modern way of slavery in Canada right now, according to Canadians. The job market in Canada is literally cooked. Canadians are not getting employed. Canadians are applying for jobs, well-paying jobs, but apparently these jobs are being given to temporary foreign workers. The job banks and the website that are offering these jobs, they are giving reasons like Canadians are not applying for the so-called jobs. But Canadians themselves are confessing that we are applying for these jobs, we need these jobs, but these jobs are being given to temporary foreign workers for either reasons that we can't understand. The Canadians are not getting employed, but apparently the websites are hiring temporary foreign workers and giving reasons that Canadians are not applying these jobs. Canadians themselves are confessing in this video that we are applying for these jobs, but these jobs ends up in the hands, or this job, they are only hiring temporary foreign workers. We can't understand why. Let's watch this video, guys. Then we shall be coming back and engaging on this open discussion. Then I shall be also sharing my opinions at the end.
Give me 1 second, because I'm going to expose the biggest scam in Canada happening right now. And it has to do with temporary foreign workers. Here's how it works. I'm sure you've all seen job postings like this, where in Canada, apparently they can't find a psychiatrist willing to accept a salary of $250,000 to $400,000 per year. Or there'll be restaurant managers where they're offering $37 an hour, or a student recruiter for $36 an hour, or a plumber for $36 an hour. Why is it always $36 an hour? Or why are they these high wages that apparently no Canadians can be found to be paid at these rates? Not all, but a lot of these employers are selling these LMIA job offers to temporary workers overseas. They sell them for $30,000 to $40,000. So these people that are living overseas that want a better life in Canada, they're effectively paying for these jobs. So the restaurant or whoever is actually posting this, they're pocketing 40 grand. So if there's 10 people, that's almost $500,000 they're getting. And this is where it gets crazier. Workers sometimes get paid $5 an hour, and they work 12 to 14 hours a day. Employers, they then claim that $36 per hour as a tax write-off, as though they're paying that amount. That money isn't actually going to the people they're paying. They're getting that money back. That's why the United Nations said that this is a modern form of slavery that's happening in Canada with our temporary foreign worker program. Here's the crazy part. If you go on immigrationstatistics.ca, that uses the government's own data. So if you go on immigrationstatistics.ca, you'll see a massive chart that showed that last year we let in 3.1 million temporary foreign workers. Foreigners who are workers. Some of them, a smaller amount, were part of the temporary foreign worker program. The other foreign workers were part of the international mobility program. And in the preceding 3 years, nearly 7 million foreign workers were allowed into the country. It's all a scam. The immigration, the businesses that are profiting off of it, liberal immigration policy to allow these international foreign workers to come in, they're literally taking our jobs while corporations are making an insane amount of money off of this. That's the scam. They're never planning on paying those amounts to those people, and what they do instead is they lie to them. When they get here, they pay them low wages, make them work all day for peanuts. This is modern day slavery, and the way I see it, unless it gets changed, this is also state-sponsored and endorsed by the Liberal Party of Canada. It's insane.
So I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I'm not against immigration, but I am against immigration when it is infringing on Canadians' jobs and livelihoods and filling up our shelters and things like that. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Should we scrap the foreign workers program? Should we use it as a case-by-case basis? I'd love for you to listen to the next few clips and make a decision for yourself, and then leave it in the comments.
The temporary foreign worker program is not working. It should be cancelled or significantly reformed.
It's a rare show of unity between BC's Premier and federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre.
Liberals have to answer. Why is it that they're shutting our own youth out of jobs?
The temporary foreign worker program allows Canadian employers to use foreign workers to fill temporary jobs when no Canadian workers can be found. EB says the program is being exploited.
Here in Surrey, where I'm standing right now, serious concerns have been raised about fraud.
One Surrey immigration consultant raised concerns to CBC News about fraudsters selling forged labour market assessments. That's what employers need to hire temporary foreign workers, to prove they tried to find Canadians but couldn't. EB accuses Ottawa of overseeing a flawed program.
We can't have an immigration system that fills up our homeless shelters and our food banks.
But many BC farms rely on seasonal workers from abroad. One Abbotsford farmer says both EB and Poilievre have indicated they support some carve-outs for agriculture.
If there was just no foreign workers, an outright ban, it would be highly detrimental.
The Canadian Federation for Independent Business is slamming EB's position.
Many small businesses, particularly in rural and remote areas, rely on this program to do work that other people simply don't want to do. So by eliminating this program, it would have catastrophic effects.
BC Conservative leader John Rustad says the solution is a Made in BC program, so that sectors that do need foreign workers, like farms and tourism, can still get them.
We need to take control of immigration, of our own immigration in BC, instead of having these decisions being made over 4,000 kilometers away.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says his government is reviewing the temporary foreign worker program and the immigration system as a whole.
Temporary foreign workers account for 19% of Canada's private sector workforce. And this is a huge problem for multiple reasons. Let's break the economics of this down. First off, don't say anything racist, because that's not the problem. And listen, you can blame Trudeau all you want, but Carney is lowering immigration numbers. So right now we currently have about 3 million temporary residents in Canada. 1.5 million of them are work permit holders and 640,000 of them are study permit holders. These last two numbers I don't really care about. Family members and asylum seekers, not my concern. And just for perspective, Ontario alone has over 500,000 international students. And this is because Doug Ford cut funding to colleges and universities and they were forced to go to international students in order to stay in operation. So what are the economic impacts of this? You're seeing a lot of young people, a lot of new grads, a lot of university students unable to get jobs. Why? Because there are so many temporary foreign workers in those roles. Here's the thing. This is not blaming immigrants. This is not blaming other people for this problem. This is the free market at work. If you as a private sector employer can pay a domestic Canadian $17 an hour, or you can pay an international student $15 an hour, who are you going to hire? So we shouldn't be bringing in temporary foreign workers at all when there are domestic Canadians who are willing to do those jobs. And guess what? If domestic Canadians aren't willing to do those jobs, then that means that the wages are too low, which once again is not a failure of government, but a failure of the private sector. If 20% of private sector jobs are going to international permit holders, then that means that the private sector is shortchanging Canadians by 20% of roles. When unemployment is hovering around 7%, you cannot say that there are not Canadians willing to do that work. They're just unwilling to do that work at the low wages that you want to pay them. And in a fair supply and demand capitalist society, you should not be able to import workers from other countries and abuse them for low wages. And that's why I say time and time again, you can be against the amount of international students we have and the amount of immigrants that we were bringing in and not have it be a right-wing racist thing. There are very much left-wing socioeconomic arguments for lowering immigration numbers. But if the government doesn't start to address people's concerns, they are going to start making the lowest common denominator arguments. They are going to start thinking and saying racist things, and that is going to lead us to a very, very difficult place politically.
This is breaking news, and I'm not sure if you're going to see this on the media, but Statistics Canada just put out some new information, and I'm going to show it to you. And again, I want to show you the full source. That's Stats Canada, and it's titled Workforce Insights, the Demographics in the Food and Services Industry. Here's the crazy part. This is only from 2017 to 2023. And there's a table in here. It's table number 4 if you want to Google this for yourself. It shows you the proportion or the percentage of the workers in the food service industry by resident status. If you scroll down, you'll see in the first table, that was 2017. In 2017, only 7% of the people working in the food services industry, restaurants, fast foods, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, you name it, only 7% were non-residents, non-permanent residents. Fast forward to 2023, it's at 25%. Look at the massive year-over-year jump from 2022 to 2023. That's what, nearly 7%? That's about a 40% increase in 1 year. I can almost guarantee you when the 2024 and the 2025 numbers come out, it's probably going to be closer to 33 or 34%. More than 1/3, mind you, this is today in 2025, more than 1/3 of the people that are working in these fast food restaurants or in the food service industry are not permanent residents. That is why uncontrolled immigration like this is causing youth unemployment to be at levels not seen since the recession. These are recessionary levels of unemployment for our youth, and Gen Z are the ones that are getting screwed. It's the worst it's been in decades. My friends, numbers do not lie. They tell a story. We need to completely abolish the temporary foreign worker program. We need to have negative levels of immigration. We need to see people whose visas have expired or student visas are completed and their education is complete leave the country. We need to start putting Canadians first.
So what do you think of this story? So A&W franchises in Quebec have written to the government asking them to not to reduce temporary foreign workers. And the reason why they're saying that is because many A&W franchises are at risk of going out of business. And the reason for that is because most of the employees are international students or foreign workers. A&W are saying that local workers aren't suitable for the fast food environment, and they prefer to hire temporary foreign workers or international students. And they've actually written to the government asking them to suspend the plans to reduce temporary foreign workers in Canada. Folks, let me know what you think about this. This is a different angle that I've not seen before. Let me know what your thoughts about this are in the comments.
Take a little listen to this. So last night I went on to the Job Bank of Canada and I was looking around in there and I came across a section called temporary foreign workers. So I clicked on it and there is over 4,000 jobs that are posted in the temporary foreign workers category. So what's happening is these employers are stating that they've tried to fill positions. It's called a labor market impact assessment. So that's something like that they file or whatever. So they're claiming that they've tried to hire Canadians, they can't. So now these job postings are for the foreign workers. So when I went into them, it was kind of interesting to see. For example, I'll share something with you. Okay, so here we have the website, the temporary foreign workers. I have it circled, and then that's 4,264 results. And yeah, there's going to be things on there like farm work and different stuff, but there's also a lot of other jobs that basically anybody could qualify for. And the fact that they're saying that nobody is applying and they can't fill the position with anybody who has the right skills for the job blows my mind. So I'm going to show you an example. So here we have an elementary school teacher. Okay, so what they're saying is, out of all these people that I know who have went to teachers college and who are temporarily doing substitute teaching right now just to get their foot in the door because they can't land a full-time position as a teacher, they're going to tell me that they can't fill this position with anybody who's Canadian? That doesn't make any sense, because I know people who are waiting to get a teacher's position and they're doing stuff like volunteering on sports teams and stuff like that to get their foot in the door. So they've posted jobs like this stating, you know, that they can't find anybody. There was also another one on there. Well, there's severals on there. It's not just like I said, there was even a Subway one, $36 an hour. You're trying to tell me they can't find somebody to work for $36 an hour at Subway? I find that hard to believe when so many people, including myself, have been actively applying to all these places. So here's the other half of that, and I'm gonna read over this. So it's pending labor market impact assessment. So it's pending. So what they do, like I said, is they say that they couldn't fill it with any Canadians, and then they put it up for the foreign workers, and then the employers get special incentives for it, right? Many different programs, many different things, many different whatever. So here we're going to explain it. It says right here, the employer could not find a Canadian worker for this job and applied for a labor market impact assessment to hire a temporary foreign worker. Canadian workers, including Canadian citizens and permanent residents, are still encouraged to apply. Now, if you go on the website, the Job Bank website, you can take a look at all these jobs and you can see exactly what jobs are hiring for these temporary foreign workers, and you yourself will see that these are all jobs that could be filled, and they need to do like undercover shit where they get somebody to go in and ask to look at resumes and blah 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 and see how many Canadians are applying for these jobs, but then they're acting like they're not, so they have to result to hiring foreign workers only. But then that way they do that to get in on the special incentives from the government, kickbacks, maybe help with wages, whatever. They have so many different programs. So that is what's going on. People don't realize it, but there is stuff like this that's going on. There's some sneaky shit, so they can try and get around it and get away with it. Like, I don't know. this is all across Canada. There's different jobs available everywhere, but I find it hard to believe that you can't find a student even to work at Subway, McDonald's. Like, there were so many different postings. Take a look if you have a minute. Go on the job bank and take a look. You can go into the foreign workers section. You can go into Ontario. You can go into the job bank for everybody. Like, there's so many different sections on it. But that's what's happening. That's how they're getting away with this and getting around it. I've even heard stories about people wanting a job so bad that they've taken a deal and they're offering to work for a cheaper wage. Like, for example, oh, I really, really need this job. What if I do it for $12 an hour? People say that ain't happening, but I've heard some stories, and yeah, they may be stories, they may be lies, who knows, and there's even people who do hiring in HR and stuff who are speaking out, telling like the different things that are going on. But then there's so many people who are brainwashed saying it's not happening and that these things aren't happening. Like, that right there shows you. Go take a look. Go on the website and see the job postings they have for these foreign workers, and they're claiming they can't find Canadians to work those jobs. I don't buy it for 1 minute.
You know, I always say that if it was 1, 2, or 3 Canadians, I will say this line again and again and again and again so that I distance myself from critics. If it was 1, 2, 3, or 4 Canadians who are literally complaining that the temporary foreign workers are taking our jobs, I could have just said that these Canadians, they just don't want these people in their country. But every Canadian who is applying for a job is ranting about the same issue. We can't get jobs, and the reason we can't get jobs is because the websites that are offering these jobs, they prefer temporary foreign workers and immigrants over Canadians. It means that the government does not love Canadians. They don't love Canadians. Why? Because if they really, really loved Canadians, they could have put Canadians first. The only time they need Canadians is when they know that Canadians are about to vote. They pretend they love Canadians when the elections is nearby. But after being elected, they don't put Canadians first. In this situation, I personally think that they love temporary foreign workers and immigrants more than Canadians. Because if you really loved Canadians, you could say that these jobs needs to be given to Canadians. And if there is proof that no Canadian is applying for these jobs, well, we can say now, give that job to temporary foreign workers. But apparently, every job, every vacant job, every job available, for some reasons, they are being offered to temporary foreign workers, and Canadians are not getting these jobs. What is literally happening behind the scenes? Canadians themselves are saying, we are applying for these jobs. We are jobless. We want these jobs. But apparently, for some reasons that I don't want to mention, Canadians are not being given these jobs. What is literally happening in the job market in Canada? The Canadian government should literally put Canadians first. That is because the Canadians owns Canada. So we need to be comfortable in Canada. And when we are comfortable, we'll have proper housing, we have jobs, we are doing well. So we can invite in some people, because maybe we can say we have very many jobs and these jobs are vacant, and most of the Canadians are employed to these jobs. So what we need to do, let's take in foreign workers to fill in the vacant job. But apparently, we have very many vacant jobs. Canadians are applying to these jobs. They are not getting hired. And apparently, in some way, the foreigners are applying for these jobs and they are getting hired. Well, it must have something to do with wages. You know, they are being paid less. Their wages are being subsidized. Why is that so? What is the government not telling us? What is the government not telling Canadians? Why are Canadians ranting this way? It means that there is something wrong with the job market in Canada that needs to be fixed. And for that thing to be fixed, it means that a Canadian or Canada should consider putting Canadians first. That's just it, guys. That's not an argument. Canada needs to put Canadians first, because if we can't put our citizens first, then why should we? What guarantees us that we will care about other immigrants and our own citizens are not living in proper houses? They are complaining about immigrants day in, day out. These immigrants are taking their jobs, and for some reasons the government itself is importing in more foreign workers to replace Canadians. Put Canada first.